Hello guys, welcome back to our channel. You may be wondering why we haven't seen us for a few weeks. It's because we've been a little bit busy. So obviously you've seen our little studio workshop before, which was a little bit bare, a little bit sparse, and there wasn't that much going on. So over the Christmas period, me and my son have built a new work cabinet and shelf and the tool wall. We've got a tool wall, so everything's all here ready to go. Because we're going to be doing lots of how-to videos and projects going forward. So we thought, let's kit this out properly. We're not done yet, there's still lots to do, but we've made a pretty cool little cabinet here. So we've got the doors and everything that all open up. I still to work on the door stops, I haven't finished them yet. But all the cabinets there and everything. And we've got a vise, so that's all there. And the cabinets even work when the vise is down and out the way, so that's good. So we've got something to be able to work with. We've even put some new lights in, so we've got some better lighting in here as well. So yes, apologies you haven't seen us for a few weeks, but we're back. And we're going to be working on the quad bike, which we're converting into the Briggs Stratton powered trike. And the interesting thing is the torque converter turned up just before Christmas. So I've had a look at that to make sure it all fits. And guess what? It doesn't. So we're going to look at how to put a torque converter onto a Briggs Stratton engine today. The issues we've got so far is that we haven't got the right bolt holes, and there's a few other things that would fit, but I'll show you that in a second. But so we've also got our ramp here, which we took out of our old workshop. So you may have seen our video about our new ramp we got for our main workshops. So we thought, what better thing to do and use this one down here. So when we've got ride-ons or quad bikes or rotary mowers, we can lift them up and it's a little bit easier to work with rather than me working down in the old land of the floor. So hopefully that'll make it a little bit easier for videos going forward. But let's crack on. Let's see how we get on with this. So here's our torque converter kit, which I bought off the old eBay. It's not something we generally supply or have access to. So I've had to go onto the old eBay to get that. These are pretty much designed for like your Honda engines and your Chinese copy engines and things like that. And generally they'll bolt right on. With the Briggs engines, that's not quite so common, so it seems. There's probably a kit out there that would fit right on, but they cost a little bit more money. This one was about 70 quid. So I'm eating into my budget a little bit that I've got for this project, but we needed it. What have we got? We've got the back plate. So that back plate there is supposed to fit over to that. That's supposed to go over that. You see that protrudes out from the engine on the crankcase there. So that's supposed to fit over there, like so. It doesn't. And then these holes here, lots of different holes, are designed to fit onto the bolt holes that are already there, which they do line up. Other issue I've got is these bolt holes are not the right thread. I believe some of the kits come with different size nuts and bolts and everything that comes with it, but this one doesn't. So I could go up to our stores and get the right bolts to fit, but instead we're gonna change the thread in that and get the tap and die set out and band them out so the bolts that have been supplied will fit. So that's what we're gonna do in a second. So what else is in the kit? You've got your main clutch, a little bit there, which goes onto this end. There's a 19mm shaft on there, so that all fits on fine, no issues there, that's all good. And then you've got your belt pulley on the back, which then goes onto your sprocket. Right, this kit comes with two sprockets, so we have got the right sprocket for the chain, already checked that, so that's good. Crank shaft is absolutely fine size-wise, and saves a sprocket on the chain. So let's crack on and get the old tap and die set out and make those bolts fit. My old trusty Draper tap and die set. Had for many years. Get my old thread gauge out. I'll just dig right in and see what we've got. There's M8, so there we go. Just like that one. And 1.25. Bob on. We have the right one in the old set. So these fit in nice and easily. I like these because they're not quite so, you use that on it, you struggle to get it straight to start with. On the harder stuff, because we've also got to cut the crank as well, because the crank is not the right size for the bolt we've got either. And then you just literally put it into that hole to make sure, you can get a little bit of traction. But before you do that, get a little bit of old lube, spray that into the holes. Then you can have your tap and make sure it's all straight. It's good to look down this line up, make sure it's all going in the right way. That all looks good. And then you can just literally start cutting. If it's a little bit tight, go in and out a few times. But being that these are the right size already, they're already 8mm, so it's not too bad to carry on screwing. But if you feel you've got a little bit of resistance, just come in and out a few more times. You don't want to over force it because these holes are plated in the back, so they don't go right through to the crank, thankfully, or into the inside of the engine. See how far you can go in. There we are. That's one done. Hopefully now our bolts will just literally screw right in. That's looking better. Use my nice new custom made spanner holder. And I got some colourful ratchet spanners. They're not the best quality, to be quite honest, but you know, when you want the right size spanner, it's like 10 is black, 13 is red. Nice and easy just to grab them. There we go, going in nice and easily now. Again, don't do it too tight because that bolt can go right through to the inside the crankcase. And undo it again. It won't be the strongest thread in the world, doing it this way, but it works. And that's what we want. Right, bang through the rest of those a second. There we are. You'll see that we've just done all 4 of those holes. So now all of them will fit the bolts in. A little bit of swarf there, clean up around the outside that's come off. But yeah, it's very little difference in the thread size that's gone in there. But now at least the bolts that they have supplied, which are the right length, will all screw in, which is cool. Right, now we need to do the crankshaft because also the bolt they supplied to fit the clutch on doesn't fit in there either. So it goes in slightly, goes in so far and then stops. Because that's what you find in bolts that don't fit. They will just go in a little bit, you think, oh yeah, that's good, and then you try and wrench them round, but they're really, really tight. That means the thread is wrong. We need to cut that as well. That is, just double check that that is the same thread. Use your thread gauge, or if you haven't got a thread gauge, then use the nut or use the hole you've already cut to make sure that's the same. So yeah, so it's all the same thread, which is good. So we'll go in here with this one to start with. This will be a little bit tricky because that was going into alloy, nice and easy to cut. This is into steel. A little bit harder to do, but let's go for it. There we go. So that's all of those holes re-threaded. So that should now fit. Now for the hard bit, because that's all quite easy. The hard bit is now we've got to work out how we're going to take that off. And to get that bit over that protruded bit on the crankcase. If I had a nice mill, I would use a mill. Pop that in the mill, use the old cutter going round and cut that out a little bit wider. Or probably I've got a lathe, I could use the lathe somehow. Fix it and then have a cutter on the actual lathe end, but for now we're just going to use basic tools and file it and use some emery paper and maybe put that on the drill to try and get it around, but we'll see. Tidy this up and bang that in the vise and get that cut down. It's not very much we need to take off. It is literally half a mil all the way around, a good guess. It hasn't got to be exact on there because obviously there's no actual strain on there, so it'd be better if it's a little bit bigger than it would be a little bit smaller, because then it will go on and that's what we want. So let's bang that in the old vise and see how we get on. So there we are, guys, we have got our hole much bigger than it was. It is now bigger. So now fits on there just how it should do, just like that, which is cool. But there's me offering it up like this. When it doesn't actually go like that, it goes like that. So lesson learned, it works now. So, right, if that goes onto there like so, we've got to get those holes lined up each side. What I'm going to do is put one washer in behind each bolt just to pack that off of there a little bit so that we're not right in against the crankcase. Right or wrongly, don't know, but that's what we're going to do. So now we're going to pop those bolts through that hole and bolt that onto the engine. Going to use some nice wide washers. They'll sit there nicely like that. This is where all the washers are going to fall off. So I'm just doing these up hand tight for now. Make sure that's all clear on the outside. Not rubbing on anything. Looks good, I like it. With these, you always want to do a cross pattern. So when you tighten up anything, any casing layer, especially an aluminium casing, you want to tighten up this one just by 1/4 of a turn, then the opposite side 1/4 of a turn, come up to this one 1/4 of a turn, then move it to that side 1/4 of a turn. Otherwise if you do it one too tight, then the other one you end up cracking the casing on it. And we don't want to do that. Back when I was a pup, I'd done that once and yeah, it ruined my day. And I don't want to ruin my day, so we're just going to do that 1/4 of a turn on each one. I'm happy with that. That looks good. So depending on where this sits on your engine, sometimes you might want to put the drive clutch on before that, by the looks of things. We don't need to do that. So we're now going to offer that onto the quad bike to see where it all sits before we go any further. So let's do that. So we're going to have to cut off these foot plates, or the old foot plates, to get out of the way to get the engine over far enough to get the torque converter in this side. So now we've got the torque converter back plate on, we can now see where this all lines up. So the chain's going to come up through to there. So we're going to definitely need to see that that's got to go back further. So that's going to need to go back there. So we're going to need to cut out that plate cut out the footrest the other side so that the engine can go that way a little bit further to allow for the drive clutch to go in there. Then we can start putting the clutch together to be able to see if that will all go in there and fit in as we want it to. So let's cut all this apart. Right, so we've cut our frame apart a little bit, just to be able to get the engine in there a little bit easier. I think we're going to have to do some more though, because what we've got here now, as you can see, we've got a plate there, which is now down below the engine. It'd be nice if that was up straight, but we can't do that because it would then be hitting onto the head, which isn't going to work, which is a bit of a shame, but never mind, we've got to work with what we've got. So if we pull the chain up now, which will just temporarily put the sprocket and the bar in there, that needs to be a little bit further this way. Trouble is, we've got this bar here in the way. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to now put the whole torque converter together and all the CVT belt and everything all in one so that we know how big it is, how wide it is, whatever it is. And then we're going to cut the frame probably back here somewhere and then weld a new bit of frame in around here and up through out this side of where the torque converter is going to be to allow a lot more space in there. So let's put the old engine back on the bench and get this torque converter together properly. Got this shaft here, so that's the main shaft for the drive pulley, whatever you want to call it. That's already got the circlip on the end, comes with that one already installed. Pop that one in around the back, slide that one right up through so it's flush on the back, and then you've got your keyway, long keyway, which slots into the shaft, which has already been broached. So that one goes into there like so, just slides in. Might need a little tap if you doesn't fit in first time. And then you've got your washer, which has got a broach out of it as well, goes up there. Then you've got your sprocket. There isn't a right way or a wrong way for those. Not on these, some of them have got a bigger flange one side than the other, but this one's the same. And slides up, there we go. And then we've got the drive clutch, which goes on with the spring on the outside. There we are. And then you should have got a washer and a nut. A washer, there, and then your nut on the outside. Big old lock nut. So we'll just stick that one on there, just literally just get that caught. There we go, that'll do. And now we're going to put the other clutch together. So you come with you've got a washer and a spacer, or bush, whatever you want to call it. And that will go onto there, and then your washer on there as well. I don't know which way it don't really matter which way they go around, I shouldn't think. But we'll see. But I think you might just need the washer depending on the spacings that you've got on this here. So obviously it depends how much of a flange you've got on the end of your crankshaft. So obviously you want all this to line up. Let's put the washer in, let's see what that does. That one onto there, and then onto there. And obviously when we put it all together properly later on, we'll put the belt and everything on. But this is just to get a good idea of how much room we need, which doesn't really matter for this top one. And we'll stick that one in there for now. And I think that's how it goes. We'll find out later on when to see if it works. Let's put that back in the engine and see how much room we need. Lots. But we need lots more room. So that chain is going to come up to in there, but it needs to go back further because that's the sprockets in there. Then we need enough space out this side to be able to allow for that to fit in. So we're going to cut out that there because what we don't want either is the chain to drag on the bottom of the frame. Before it would have been up out there somewhere, a bit lower maybe, but we're going to want that to go into there. But we don't want it to drag on that bottom frame. I'm going to cut it here, cut it up through there, and cut it in there because we've got plenty enough room there for all of this gubbins up through here. So we don't need to take out that frame or that middle pillar. Cut it out there, cut it out here, cut it across there. Then we'll try again. Right, let's cut that out a minute. So there we go, we've cut the frame out. That's all now in, the engine fits in. We've got the chain on there around the shaft there where we want it to be. A little bit of question on where the bits are sitting on the back there, but hopefully with where we'll mount the engine now, that'll work out. So what we're gonna do now, quick little montage of me welding up the bottom frame, making a frame up along here and putting the plate in the bottom where we can bolt the engine onto. And then we'll have the engine situated in a minute. So I'll let you watch me do that. guys, we've adjusted the frame. The engine is mounted. Well, it's still loose, but it's mounted. The bolt holes all line up. Quite happy with that. Drilling and welding is not my favourite thing to do in a weld, but no, it looks all right. I'm quite pleased we've extended the bit around here because we might not need any foot pegs here. We might put them down on the front wheel when we do the trike, but for the time being, we're just getting it going in this episode and getting it to work. So the chain all fits on, everything's all quite nice in there. Quite pleased with it. So we're now going to finish putting the torque converter on, get the drive clutch and everything on there, and then put the belt on. Let's crack on with that. So ideally now, when we fire up the engine, that should spin. And then as you rev it up, which we've got to connect all the throttle up and everything in a minute, what we'll find is that then closes, the clutch then closes on the inside there, and then that gains tension and traction onto the drive pulley, which then drives your sprocket onto your chain. So we're going to get all this tightened down now, get it all tightened up, make sure that's all right. And then we've got, what have we got? Throttle left to do. We've got an exhaust to put on and, a petrol tank. Three more things, and then we'll see if it works. Right, I'm pretty sure we are ready to give it a test. We have got the engine mounted, we have got the torque converter fitted, the chain is on, the exhaust is welded up, the petrol tank's on, the air filter's on. We've just got to put some fuel in it, just check the oil. Let's take it outside, see if it starts and see if this works. The throttle is a little bit, I've just cobbled that together for now just to see if that works right. We've got front and back brakes, that's wicked. Pop some fuel in it and get it outside. Let's go. Here it is, guys, we're outside. Let's see if she starts up. Right, choke is that way, and I don't think to do anything else, do I? It's on, there we are. Oh, hello. Right, we've got to make some adjustments, see if she can make it go faster, because she's not going very fast at the moment, but that's pretty cool, it all works. It does what we want it to do. That's just awesome. I love that. I love it. I'm gonna have another go. Gotta have another go. Right. Hang on, is that, no, hang on, bit of choke. Okay. No. I haven't got anywhere to put my feet though. I forgot that bit. No. That'll do. Right guys, we've made some adjustments. I've even welded on some foot pegs on the bottom, so I've actually got somewhere to put my feet. I've adjusted the throttle and I've adjusted the belt a little bit on the clutch plate on the back. You'll see I'll put that washer in behind. I've actually taken that out so everything snugs up a little bit tighter now, so it's a little bit more lively on the throttle. I don't know if it's going to give us any more speed or what it's going to do, but let's find out. Let's give it a go. Right, where are we? We are choke. There we go. Oh. A bit more lively, let's give it a go. Oh, I think I'll take that as a pretty much of a good win. That was working like a treat. I love it. I love it. I'm getting very wet and muddy though. But sod it, I'm gonna have another go. Come on girl, start up. Oh shit, that's me well broken. Oh, let's not have another go. My foot peg fallen off. I only tacked it on there for a bit of temporary, but never mind. Oh dear. Let's go round up in the studio. So who would have thought we could get a Rotavator engine to go that well? I didn't, and the torque converter certainly helped that situation go, and it all works. It goes a lot faster than I thought it would. If I'd known it was going to go like that, I'd have probably put a helmet on, but anyway, I'll learn for next time. But what we're going to do next? Well, as promised in the other videos, throughout the series we said we're going to turn this into a trike, and that's exactly what we're going to do. So we're going to cut this whole front end off. There isn't very much going on down here bar the steering, so we're going to make a new set of forks, a bigger wheel on the front, and make it look pretty cool. But I'm 6'2" and I need to be able to fit on it. And Randy Racer, our test track driver, who you probably saw in our last ATV video we done, is also quite tall. So we need a little bit of leg room on it and to make it comfortable. So that's what we're going to do in the next video. And also, I got quite wet doing that just on a little 2-minute ride. So we're going to make some sheet metal folded mud guards for the back end to stop us getting covered in rubbish. So stay tuned. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Watch the next video, and if you haven't already, please watch the last one. So subscribe, please like us on Facebook, please follow us on Instagram, and oh yeah, visit our website. There's loads of machines you can buy on there. Anyway guys, thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next one.